Sony is leaving the GDC, PAX East, and basically not existing anymore in any public event. We do a little Sonic non-spoiler movie review and more on today's episode of Wumpa Time. What's up, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of Wumpa Time. My name is Canadian Guy, and I am joined by my lovely co-host, Shemp.
Ninja. Me, Shemp. Me. Hi, everyone.
Speaking of Ninja, why don't we segue right into our first piece of quick news?
Right into it.
Right into it, man. The quality whatever. The
Quality
A segues. Ninja. If you don't know who Ninja is, you're either
good for you,
but you probably are living under a rock. Before we even continue, did you know that they're selling Ninja merch at Walmart now?
Yes, I've seen it at Walmart, and they're selling Ninja plushies at GameStop and Target. Yeah.
So I walked into Walmart, and this is Canada, so Canada gets nothing. Literally, we literally get nothing, and there's Ninja gear, and I walked in, and it literally just says it's game time. That's it. It's track pants that just says it's game time with Ninja's logo, and I'm just thinking of Tobey Maguire going, "It's pizza time."
I would 100% rather wear it's pizza time shirt.
It's game time.
It's gamer time.
So. But we're not talking about Ninja merch. We are talking about Ninja himself and his recent comment. So Ninja posted a tweet that has kind of gone viral. I mean, everything he kind of does kind of goes viral. But this went extra viral because it was an extra dose of stupid. So let's read the quote exactly. So on February 18th, Ninja said, quote, "The phrase, 'it's just a game,' is such a weak mindset. You are okay with what happened, losing. Imperfection of a craft. When you stop getting angry after losing, you've lost twice. There's always something to learn and always room for improvement. Never settle."
r/I'm 14 and this is deep.
Oh, okay. So there's a lot to break down here. So it's like the second half, if you just put the second half and that's it, tweet would have been fine, which is there's always something to learn and always room for improvement. Never settle.
Yeah, perfect. But the fact that he's defending the like it's just a game argument, like he goes on to say, imagine telling LeBron James, Tom Brady, that whenever they're mad off after losing a game, that it's just a game. Like, I'm gonna lose it. Are you kidding me? And it's funny because LeBron James and Tom Brady have been quoted multiple times saying, it's just a game. Yeah, that's it. At the end of the day, that's what it is. It's a game, right? It's a game in whatever sense you want to put it towards.
Now, here's the thing. I'm perfectly validating for someone getting upset. Like, imagine if you made it to the Super Bowl and you lost and you're upset about it. Perfectly validated. It's perfectly fine. But to say that it's not okay to be like, okay, like respectful, because like sometimes you're playing a game, you make a mistake, you know you made a mistake and you died or you lost. This could happen in literally anything. You're like, yep, I know what happened. That was my fault. And that's it. Ninja is like, he's discounting that you should be angry. That you need to be angry if you mess up.
Yeah, like, I saw you were streaming CTR today. You got angry because you messed up. That's a completely healthy thing. If you hold in getting angry, that's not healthy. You just let it out.
Right, but I wasn't, like, losing my mind. But also there were times where I messed up and I was just like, crap, I know I messed that up. This didn't feel right. Oh, boy. But
yeah, you understand it.
Yeah, I understood why. I wasn't angry at that fact where I knew I messed up. And I'm like, but the way that he's phrasing it is like he's phrasing so many things in this, and it's all just all over the place. The phrase, "it's just a game," is such a weak mindset. You're okay with what happened, losing. Imperfection of a craft. It just...
keep in mind, he's almost 30. Like, he's almost a 30-year-old man acting like this. And I caught myself today because I was like, how is he so rich? Oh, Microsoft, I forgot they basically bought him out.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
I forgot they did that. And it's weird that he still has a following. I know it's kids don't know any better, and the epitome of r/I'm 14 and this is deep. This is exactly that. 14-year-olds and below, or maybe even above, are going to be like, yeah, I agree. When in reality, no, it's fine. It is just a game. Don't worry about it. It is. It's fine. Like, you're not going to lose. You're not going to die because you lost a match in Fortnite or Apex or anything like that. It's literally a game. Just play it again. Who cares?
Yeah. Now, a lot of people came out to try to defend him and say that he's talking in the competitive scene and in the competitive point of view. But still, again, like you said, one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, which I can't stand him, but to say he's unskilled would be absolutely ridiculous. Tom Brady, yep. He said it's just a game.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's it.
At the end of the
it's
day,
just
that's
a game.
what it is. It's just a game.
You come in, you play the game, you leave. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. Speaking of coming in and playing the game, but not really leaving, Shemp, what's going on with Animal Crossing?
Yeah, so Animal Crossing's in a bit of a weird situation. So, Animal Crossing, as you know, is a big time sink. Like, you are going to be, whenever I buy this, I'm buying this day one, I'm going to be putting so many hours into Animal Crossing, you have no idea. What if my Switch breaks? Does it support cloud save? No. That was one of the big controversies, that it didn't support cloud save. Now, an Animal Crossing Nintendo Direct came out today, or not today, I think it was yesterday, and they were doing an FAQ section, and they said, what if I lose my save data?
Right.
Nintendo Switch Online cloud backup data is not supported, but in case of a defective or lost console, a service will allow you to recover backed up save data from the server, available sometime after launch. What?
Isn't that just cloud?
Isn't that just cloud save?
What's the difference?
You're telling me that I can't back up my data to a server, and I have to wait to back up my data to a server? What? Wait, no. What?
I'm confused. Okay, so Animal Crossing is like one of those mega franchises where, like, because you saw them, because we talked about this the other day, the mobile market for Animal Crossing and how much money that game made. It was insane. The astronomical amount of money that Animal Crossing made was crazy, and like it's a big franchise. And there's been a few definitely interesting things. So there's this cloud save feature that you're talking about. And there's also one Animal Crossing per Switch situation as well.
Yeah. So if you have multiple people, you can't have multiple islands.
That makes no sense.
I guess, are the save data going to be that big? Because, I mean, Animal Crossing New Leaf saved to the cartridge. Like, there was a big trend where people bought used copies of New Leaf to, like, fix up the town. But, like, with New Horizon, it costs more money to set up another server to back up all these big save data. Why can't we just use the cloud? It's not like, I don't get that, and I don't get, you also can't back up your Splatoon 2 save data. I don't know if that's still a thing, but that's a big thing too.
Why? Like,
I don't know.
That it's so weird. Nintendo does these really advanced stuff, and then other things are archaic. Like, it's absolutely like PlayStation 2 era of like stuff, and they're so behind on some. Like, they're ahead on some things and so far behind on others. Like, having the cloud saves is something that's basic. Like, when CTR had that glitch at the start, where if you did the it was specifically for PlayStation. It happened on Xbox sometime, but what happened was that when you're doing the time trials, right? What would happen? I
think I remember this.
Yeah, what would happen is that PlayStation had a reskin of another track, and it was Retro Stadium from Turbo Stadium, or I can't remember the track name. It
was something Stadium.
Yeah, something Stadium. Anyway, so what would happen is that it would unlock when you beat the Entropy Ghost. It would get corrupted because on the file it would say that Entropy was defeated twice and earned twice on the same map because it was just a skin, and it would cause the data to corrupt. And what would happen is that you would lose your adventure mode, your relics, and your time trials. You could get all your skins back, or the skins that weren't attached to achievements, right? But
Yeah.
my point that I'm trying to get to here, I know it's kind of weird and off cantered, but the point I'm trying to get here is that basically the way to fix that was to back up your saves on the cloud. And then guess what?
Yeah.
If anything happened, you just brought it back. And that was it.
So what if there's a game-breaking bug in Animal Crossing that corrupts your data? They say it's going to be available sometime after launch. We don't know how far off that's going to be. Like, that could be like 5 months from now. You know how many glitches we could find? And if something happens and people's save data are corrupted and then Nintendo patches it and it's like, oh, it's all fixed. Cool. Doesn't matter. I have to start over anyways.
Right, exactly. It doesn't make sense that they're not preparing to have servers or cloud service ready for Animal Crossing day one. It makes no sense.
I don't know. I don't understand. It can't be that much money. And speaking of much money, I'm good at segues.
There you go.
Did you play The Witcher 3?
A little bit, very little.
Yeah, I started it recently. We're back. Yes, we're back on The Witcher. So. Remember how last time we talked about how high up the sales were for the game and the book? Books.
Yep.
So, CD Projekt Red came out and said that The Witcher 3 from I think October or December 2018 to now has accumulated $50 million in sales on Steam alone.
Didn't this game come out in like 2013?
Yes.
Something like that?
Steam alone. The fact that a PC game got that much over the console versions is insane.
Yeah. That's crazy.
I did not know. I did not expect for it to have this much of an impact. The show, at least.
Yeah, as I said, I can promise you that this could be the biggest way of doing these video game adaptations. Now, I am also going to say that you're probably going to see a similar effect happen to the next mainline Sonic game.
Oh, yeah.
Because of the success of the Sonic movie, which we'll get to later on. But The Witcher 3 doing this has also caused a ripple effect through the entire industry. Already, Blizzard and many others are actually starting to do like adaptions for their franchises. Like there's supposed to be an animated adaptation for Overwatch and animated adaptation for Diablo. Mm-hmm. And people are seeing that this path of Netflix or a TV series for video games could be for specific video games could be the best route possible to be able to get the story across and be able to present it well.
See, like, I would love to see more video game adaptations, specifically like Netflix shows where we get more instead of it just being a movie. But I do have CD Projekt Red's Twitter up where they mentioned it, and they said, the accumulated revenue from sales of The Witcher 3 on Steam for the period of time between October 1st, 2018 and today has exceeded $50 million US. As a result, we are now getting 80% of any subsequent sales of The Witcher 3 on Steam. Thank you all for your support.
Yeah, it's incredible.
And I went to the comments to see what they responded, and the first comment is this guy saying, if you published it on the Epic Games Store, you would have gotten 88% of your revenue from the beginning.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, there's all that's top comment. There's always that one guy.
Always gotta be the one guy. Speaking of Steam success, but not really. Segue. GTA 4 is back on Steam. So if you guys remember, a few months back, or a few weeks back, was it a few months? Man, time is flying. We talked about the fact that GTA was taken off Steam, and we had no idea why. And there was an update to say that all it was that some of the contracts had just expired. That was
it. That's what I thought it was. Yeah, just the music thing.
And we're like, okay, that's it. That's the show. It should just get re-signed and pop back online. Everything is great. Yes, kind of, sort of. So for some reason, GTA 4 is back on Steam, but it doesn't have online play.
Yes, that was a big no-no for a lot of people. So, I'm looking at the press release right now, and it looks like the main reason that they took it off of Steam, not only for the music license, was because people were having problem on modern PCs because the game basically needed games for Windows Live. You remember that?
Oh gosh.
A lot of older PC games physically, you'll see on the top say games for Windows Live. They didn't say PC. It would say specifically that. And that was a service. That was basically a service to, I guess, get achievements and like hold on to your save data and stuff like that. It was a mid 2000s type of deal, or like I think early 10s or something. But they needed to get that off and then put it on there. So instead of just shutting the servers down, they just kind of removed multiplayer entirely.
That doesn't make sense. That is so dumb. It just, why not fix it? Just.
And you want to know why? It's because GTA 5 multiplayer makes too much money.
What?
Yeah, someone said, I don't know if this is true, but someone said if you try to do multiplayer on a different like backup or something like that, you'll get a message saying blah blah blah, it's no longer supported. Please play GTA 5 online. And what? That's why we're probably not going to be getting GTA 6 for a long while, because the online mode for GTA 5 makes too much money.
What's wrong with GTA 4 online? Like, it's just more money.
People aren't playing. No, so GTA 4 multiplayer was just you hang out with your buddies and you drive around. It wasn't as microtransaction heavy. Like I emphasize heavy as 5. It was just a regular multiplayer mode. So they didn't see fit to continue paying for the servers to be up for 4 because, hey, those players could be playing 5 and we could be making more money. So let's just shut down 4.
That's dumb. That's
yeah,
so dumb.
it's dumb, especially for people who wanted to play. I don't know if the servers on consoles are shut down. I don't know if they've been shut down, and I just haven't paid attention. But yeah, if you own it on PC, then no more multiplayer.
Which is so dumb. I still think it's dumb. So
yeah, it's very dumb.
Speaking of dumb, or we're going to say controversial, we'll say, we're going to move on to our first piece of main news. And I do want to talk to you about this because this could be opposing different points of view. Yes. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it. So let's talk about it. Sony has pulled out of multiple gaming expos through the year. So if you don't know, there's like there's not just E3, there's PAX, there's the GDC, there's all these places where Sony always leaves their mark and always reveals something amazing and epic and something great. And at PAX East, it was supposed to be the very, very first look public demo of The Last of Us Part 2. And now it's possible that they also had the Final Fantasy VII demo there as well. However, Square Enix is still apparently going, but not PlayStation. So I don't know how that's going to work. I don't know. That's weird. Yeah, it is very weird. So anyway, Sony is doing all of this not necessarily out of the blue. There is a reason, and we're going to talk about this reason for a second because so the reason why Sony has pulled out of the GDC, PAX East, and all these different shows is because of the coronavirus.
We did briefly mention this last podcast about how it would affect the Sonic movie overseas.
Right, we did.
Which we'll get into here in a sec.
Yeah, we'll get into the Sonic movie, but I want to wind it back a little bit, and I do want to hear your take on this. Do you think that they're being too cautious? Do you think it's being used as almost an excuse? What do you think?
So, knowing Sony and the way that they act, I do see it as them putting the health of their employees first, which I greatly appreciate.
Of course.
Now, keep in mind, it's not just Sony. Facebook has also dipped out of GDC, saying that they are still going to announce Oculus news, but they're going to be doing it online instead of at GDC. They're just going to do it at the same time as GDC. So Facebook is also doing it. So it's not just Sony kind of backing out. Did they dip out of
PAX East as well?
From the looks of it, yes.
Wow.
I could be wrong about that, but from what I'm seeing, it looks like Facebook and PlayStation are going to be absent from GDC and PAX, which is big because Oculus is another leading brand in VR. So that is a big letdown because they did say, Last of Us 2 is going to be playable because we did talk about this on the podcast. But, things happen, and this virus, more so in China, it's been affecting China than it has been in the U.S. Right. But it has technically been affecting the U.S. so far. I think it infected it says 75,700 people so far, and mainly in China, and over 1,000. 15 in the U.S. So 15 people in the U.S. caught it.
Okay, so I want to throw my hat in the ring a little bit, and not that I want to oppose. First off, I am very, very happy that Sony is thinking about the health of their employees first and foremost. Before I continue with my thought and opinion, but like you said, Facebook announced that, hey, we are backing out. However, we're still going to show you something just online.
Yeah.
Right. And that is something that I think is very important. I think that is a good compensation. So, okay, we can't be there, but we're going to show you something. PlayStation has not announced this at all.
Yes, that's something I've also noticed. There's been, I'm sure you've seen, there's been talks floating around like left and right about Sony doing some sort of PlayStation 5 event, whether it be randomly in a different spot or if it just be a massive state of play type of thing. I hope it's not state of play. That'd be a huge letdown. Hey, here's the PS5. But I don't know, because they've opted out of every single major event going on. So I think they're just going to be doing their own thing, which honestly, I don't know if this is a marketing stunt, but it does keep more eyes on Sony, which is good for press reasons. I think this just kind of like unintentionally helped it. I don't know. It's only been 15 people in the US, and I guess there are going to be people from other countries going to this event, and I kind of understand, but I wish we knew anything about the PS5 or the event that's happening.
Well, we're running out of time, and this is this is where my frustration is lying with PlayStation, is that I feel like that this coronavirus is because, again, we don't even know the pricing of the PlayStation. We don't know what it looks like. We have these details and these things. But my question is that, like, for example, there was a news report that was released that allegedly, now, of course, this is not, necessarily true, that the PlayStation 5's initial manufacturing cost was going to be $450 US. Right? Yeah, and that if they
that was just base parts.
Yeah, and that if they were to sell it, to make any sort of a profit, they would have to set it to $500, and they would be earning an overall net profit of $50 per unit. Now, allegedly, they haven't announced the final price yet, and analysts are saying because they're waiting for Xbox to announce their price. And
yes,
here was the thing. PlayStation did this strategy before without Xbox knowing it, right? They let Xbox go first. Xbox showed their hand. PlayStation reshuffled their plans, then revealed, and then absolutely denounced and destroyed Microsoft. Microsoft ain't stupid. And Microsoft is like, okay, we see your game. Your game is you're going to wait for us to make a chess piece move, and then you're going to hit us with a counter.
They're essentially just playing like corporate chicken.
Right, exactly. And now Microsoft is like, we're announcing these amazing things. We're announcing the look of the Xbox. We're announcing some of the games, and PlayStation is waiting because PlayStation wants to do what PlayStation does, which is these epic events where it's like, and not only that, we're going to reveal this, and not only that, we're going to reveal that.
But wait, there's more.
Exactly. But wait, there's more. And Xbox is releasing just enough where they can't do that to counter them.
See, one of the big things for me is, one, of course, it's supposed to come out holiday 2020, and the holiday starts in October, and that's only 8 months away. Now, from what we've been hearing, there's been a lot of talk about, like you said, Sony's trouble with the manufacturing and the pricing. If they haven't finalized the design and the whole thing by now, like, I hope we don't get a rushed out PS5. I thought they had it in the bag, but it just seems like it's one thing after another. If they delay it, that's going to hurt them like real bad.
Yeah, now if they came out and said, hey, listen, we can't go to PAX, we can't go to GDC, but we're going to post a PlayStation event online, then it's like, okay, there's something to look forward to. You know that there's going to be something dropped, but that hasn't been announced. That hasn't been shown yet. And that's where I'm kind of like, there's no compensation here. There's got to be compensation for the fans for their hype. Because I understand that, like, some people say, oh, well, it's their fault for getting excited. Not really. Hype sells stuff.
Yeah, and also we're supposed to be getting excited.
Yeah, we're supposed to be getting excited. We're supposed to be getting hyped. And the fact that you're backing out of all these things for something that some people are even seeing as a overall minor threat in North America, it almost, because there has been some companies being accused of lowballing their quarterly reports because of the coronavirus when they have very little associated with China, with certain companies, right?
Yeah.
And basically what they want to do is that they want to lowball the reports and then blame coronavirus so that the investors stay, and then they can underperform a little bit and they're fine, right? So some people are using the coronavirus as a scapegoat. Some places are legitimately saying, hey, coronavirus is going to cause huge impacts on our bottom dollar. And it's legitimate. Some places seeming like it's not so much. So my question is that Sony backing out, was it for because of their employees in mind 100%, or was it because they want to continue to hold stuff secret?
Knowing and reading about what's been going on, it sounds like it might be a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. I know that Sony, it was announced that they had to cut a feature in the PS5 that was relating to the camera because parts were just too expensive and it wasn't worth it. So we got a feature cut. And by the way, this is like, a week or two ago? So it's still pretty recent. So they're having troubles with something. So I think maybe it was just, let's say, they're actually thinking about their employees, and it also just happens to be like, oh, we can get more time to focus more on this instead of like focusing on the event, put more manpower towards getting everything finalized, which they need to do like quick, because it sounds like Xbox just, they're done. Like they have it ready. They're just doing some beta testing. They're showing off some games to investors and whatnot. They're having companies develop for. I wonder what I wonder what Sony's teams are doing. Like, hey, we got the game up and running real quick. Do you guys have like the final specs? And like, we're working on it.
Yeah, I know, and that's where, because I thought that at one point Xbox was the one behind, but now PlayStation is starting to trail behind now. And the fact of the matter is that we keep getting pushed back. It's not healthy. It's not. You're supposed to be marketing this game, and it's 8 months. You're right, 8 months before the holiday season. And yeah, of course, now I know that there's going to be some people listening to this and they're going to say, well, it's PlayStation. PlayStation fans are going to buy it. Yeah, totally. That's a totally,
duh, yeah.
But the thing is that your market is not just exclusively PlayStation. Your market is the general public. Because if you strictly market only to PlayStation fans and nothing else, you'll kill your own product because that's only a small margin. You also have to market to the general public, right? And these are people that they go to their day-to-day jobs. They don't really go online too often to look up news and stuff. They're not like on the pulse to say, right? They just they hear reports that get suggested to them on their phones, and they'll read a report maybe here and there or a rumor once every 4 weeks, and that's it. While there's some of us that as soon as there's a rumor that has any validity behind it, we know about it and we want to talk about it and we want to back it up. Not everybody is like that. The majority of people are not like that. To give you an example, Crash, like in this random stat, but it kind of makes sense. Crash Bandicoot reported for the Insane Trilogy over 10 million sales, right?
Yeah, was that when it went multi-platform? Was it only on PS4?
Yeah, that was after it went multi-console, but only like 1 month after it went multi-console. Like after the Christmas. Yeah, so it's been a while. So there's like a year's worth of sales that haven't been calculated yet.
Yeah, and they're still producing new copies of that game, so
Yeah.
it's still being manufactured.
Yeah, people are still buying it, people are still playing it, people are still loving it. Now, here's the thing, is that on their YouTube channel, they have around 75,000 subscribers.
Yeah, that is not 10 million.
That's not 10 million. That is not 10 million, right?
I was just about to say, I looked up PlayStation's Twitter account. They have 17 million followers. How many PS4s have been sold so far?
It's over 100 million. It was like 100.
Yeah, I think it's like 140 or something million.
Exactly.
Yeah, that 17 million compared to the 140 million, that's not going to keep you in business for long. Same thing with Crash. If only 700,000 people bought the Insane Trilogy, that's it. Crash would have just been done. That's dude. That's what Twinsanity sold, and that was an awful margin for Crash.
Yeah, it was awful, and that's why I'm saying that you can't, because it's the silent majority. That's what it is. You got the vocal minority and the silent majority. And the silent majority, they know less than we do. They know even less.
Oh, yeah. Right? They're just here for the ride. They're going to walk through the store and be like, oh, look at that. Crash. I'll buy that. If they just walked in one day and saw the PS5, they'll be like, what?
What's that? Like, what?
What?
I didn't save up for it. What's going on?
When did that come out? I was not prepared.
Right, exactly. You need to start marking this stuff. They should have started marking this stuff last week. 2 weeks ago.
Like a month ago. Yeah, anything.
They are behind. They are definitely behind. They're marketing their games. That's great. They're still talking about The Last of Us. Actually, no, isn't The Last of Us supposed to be on PS4? Yeah, so we only know one game that's coming to the PS5.
That's from another publisher.
Yeah, third party.
Like they probably have, let's say that the PS5 has like the greatest launch lineup of all time. We don't know that. Yeah, we don't know what they're planning. You can't promote these games in enough time for us to make up our minds. And let's say they announce it 3 months from now. Okay. That's around 6 months of advertising for an entirely new console and a bunch of new games. Mm-hmm. There is money in advertising. So the amount of money that you're going to need to invest into pushing a 6-month campaign hard for consoles and games at the same time, they're not going to make that up in like a year. That's going to be a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. And how marketing works is that it works on an auction basis too. So like when you through YouTube and stuff, through the Google ads and such, it's all an auction basis. So if you got 3 companies, you got Coke, Pepsi, and No Name Brand. Okay. Coke says, I want to advertise $100,000 worth in 4 days. Right. And then Pepsi says, hey, I want to advertise 50,000 in 4 days. And then No Name says, I want to advertise 10,000 in 4 days, all within the same timeline. What's going to happen is that YouTube only makes the money when they advertise. So if you put up the $100,000, but you don't get that full $100,000 advertised, you only get the parts that were clicked. So let's say only 56,000 people or $56,000 was used of that budget. They don't earn the other margin.
Yeah, okay? Exactly.
They don't earn that 44,000. So guess what? They look at PlayStation, they look at the Coke, Pepsi, and No Name. So if Pepsi's doing ads for 50,000 and No Name's doing it for 10,000, but Coke is doing it for 100,000, which ads are going to be pushed more?
Yeah, exactly.
Coke's, because they want to pull. But Coke had to put an additional $50,000 to surpass them. Now guess what? PlayStation has to push a huge market by investing a stupid amount of money to get even close to the same amount of marketing value that Xbox has been putting towards their content in such a short amount of time. And they're already apparently going to be operating at a loss to begin with. And they're leaking money. Every day that passes, they're losing money.
So I don't know, it's weird because, if you look at the top, I think 10 best-selling consoles of all time, all of Sony's, besides the Vita, all of Sony's consoles are in that list.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if Sony is just they're gonna spend the money to make the consoles and they're gonna market at a fair price where they don't really make a profit. Let's say it cost $490 to make a PS5 altogether. Right. And they throw a curveball and sell it for $450. Do you think that they would be? Do you think that they would be, let's say, cocky enough to just take the hit and then make the money back later?
Well, that's what they usually do. You don't usually start making an overall net income on consoles until like the first 3 years, almost 2-3 years it takes before you start actually making net money back.
Yeah.
Just on consoles alone, though. Right?
And they could be focusing on, like Microsoft's doing, games as a software, where they invest so much money in all these games and then they sell more digitally because you don't have to produce physical copies, so they make more money that way. And it could add up to the console prices, but maybe not.
I don't know. I don't know what PlayStation's doing, but the thing is that they need to let people know if they're going to be doing that route, right?
Yes.
And so anyway, we're going to move on to like a mini non-spoiler review a little bit about the Sonic movie. Now remember, no spoilers.
Yes, no spoilers, but if we just have to, we'll say a timestamp. I promise.
Yeah, don't worry, we're not going to say anything. But first and foremost, my initial thoughts, I really enjoyed it.
Same here.
I really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it a bit more than Detective Pikachu.
Which I think ends up being the general consensus with a lot of people.
Yeah, but most people are saying they liked it better, or some people just liked it just a little bit more. Now, the big thing with Detective Pikachu is that it had really like campy moments. There were moments that were kind of like, like it didn't translate right from the game, or it was kind of weird. And then some moments with the CGI with the Pokemon were a little off. Notably, the one thing that I think of is that I remember there was a few scenes in the Charizard fight that were a bit off.
Again, for new listeners, this is coming from someone who worked in the industry.
Yeah. So I noticed a few things that, a little bit off. Some of the pacing was definitely a little too much.
The ending was super goofy.
The super villain was really like they took the lore and kind of fired it out the window a little bit.
Humans suck. Pokemon are super cool.
Yeah,
that's basically the ending.
Yeah, so basically, and that's the one issue with a lot of video game movies is that they take the lore and they toss it out the window. Now, what I didn't play the original Detective Pikachu, so if they followed it to a T, then that's on the fault of the game. So,
I can tell you they didn't.
They didn't. Okay,
they did not. No, the only thing that's the same from what I remember is the fact that it's called Detective Pikachu.
Okay, well, you get my point, right? Is that
I get you.
They took the lore of Pokemon and kind of threw it out the window. Now, I was watching Sonic, and with the exception of one thing, I think they hit the lore pretty good.
Yeah, and to be fair, the quote-unquote Sonic lore isn't as deep as the Pokemon lore.
Yeah, no.
Like every other game kind of does something different, but what they did what they could with what they had, and the source material was there.
The only thing that was a little weird was like the Sonic parental figure for me. I felt like that was a little bit out.
You mean like at the beginning?
Yeah, at the beginning.
Okay, so not a spoiler, but this is the first time we technically get a Sonic and origin story.
Yeah.
And this is one. Okay, first off, I should say I really like the movie. I also think it was a lot better than Detective Pikachu. Every description I've heard is that it's Detective Pikachu with better acting, which is debatable in some areas, but I agree. Now, the first act of this movie, they really just want to basically skip to the second act, because the first act is like, oh, Sonic's here. Now he's here. This is where he lives. This is the other characters. This is the real life characters. Now this is what Sonic's doing with him. Now here's how Eggman gets in. This is what Eggman's doing. He's interacting with him. Boom. All right, let's have some goofy shenanigans with Sonic.
Yeah, I definitely could see that, but the thing is that it worked.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It worked.
It worked. I could definitely tell the first act was rushed, especially, not a spoiler because this is in the trailer, but when the government comes down after that after he does the sonic boom.
Yeah.
Their reasoning for getting Eggman is literally like, we need someone who knows technology. I know a guy. Oh, I hate that guy. Anyways, here's Eggman.
Yeah. So yeah, you can, yeah, definitely. But the big thing about that though is that the movie kind of doesn't take itself seriously. And
No. I'm so glad it doesn't.
yeah, and I think that is one of the big problems with video game movies is that it takes itself way too seriously. And now, I do want to say, as a visual effects nerd, there were some moments in this movie that made me like, oh, I was so like, it was just so well done. One of my favorite moments, and it stands out to me, and some people, they wouldn't even think twice about it, but I was like, oh, that's so good. When he starts running around the baseball diamond, and
oh yeah.
It does that side shot where he looks like a stop motion character running.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I lost my mind when I saw that.
I was just like, okay,
that was so cool.
That was so cool.
Let me also preference that when we say spoiler, I personally, I'm not, the only thing I'm not going to be talking about is the one major thing. I think you know what I'm talking about. Let me type it in chat just in case. That
and also
okay.
you know how it ends,
yeah,
so
we're not going to talk about the ending. I think we can talk about like moments with Sonic because you can still go and enjoy it. Because I'm mainly going to be talking about Sonic and Jim Carrey. James Marsden was just there. Like, to be honest, he was just there.
He had good moments, though. But you could definitely he was definitely a filler character, but you could tell that character could have been played by anybody.
Yeah, did you know that they wanted Chris Evans to be him?
Yeah, I did hear about that.
But, the concept artist for the movie drew concept art of Sonic fighting with Chris Evans in the bar.
Yeah. And that was, but I wouldn't want to say James Marsden was bad though. I wouldn't say he was bad.
No, he wasn't bad. It was just kind of like, did he need to be there?
Well, it could have been anybody, but like I said, I'm kind of lukewarm with it. But it wasn't bad. It wasn't great. But also, is it because that he pales in comparison to the performance that both Sonic and Jim Carrey gave?
Oh, Sonic and Jim Carrey. This is so weird to say, but Jim Carrey as Eggman. Again, I never thought I would say that. Jim Carrey as Eggman is probably one of the best things about this movie. I loved every single second of Jim Carrey on screen.
You could tell that he molded into the character perfectly. It was literally like the best way to describe him would be like a perfect combination. It's weird to say, of Ace Ventura and the Grinch.
The Grinch, yeah, I was thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah, Ace Ventura and the Grinch.
Imagine Ace Ventura, but he has like a Civil War mustache and he like greases his hair back.
Yeah,
like, it's perfect.
It works somehow, and like the best part is just like how high he thinks of himself. How he acts, and the thing is that he thinks of himself as so high, and he never lets down from that. He doesn't break from that. There is not one moment in this movie where he calms down and starts thinking of others for a moment, or we go to his past. No, he's a jerk. He hates everyone. That's it. There's no moment of clarity for him. He is just a jerk. It's great.
No, I love that. I'm not going to say what happens, but something happens. And there's one moment where he's caught off guard and he goes, oh, I wasn't expecting that. And then he pauses and goes, but I expected not to expect that. So, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Like,
that's Jim Carrey.
Yeah. It's just like, I wanted to know, and I would love to see all the outtakes and all the different stuff, because Jim Carrey, half his lines are ad-libbed. Right?
Oh my, yes, dude. Right. I want to know how much of that was just like the script just said Jim Carrey, like just in asterisks, like Jim
Carrey. Sonic says, "You can't stop me, Eggman," and Eggman says, "Quote, insert Jim Carrey."
There is one line that kind of caught the entire theater off guard. I 100% bet that it was a Jim Carrey ad lib, but it was when he went to go see James Marsden, and they were talking, and he says something like, "Listen, buddy, when you were busy sucking down formula, I was busy in bits."
Yeah.
And he goes, "I was breastfed," and then Jim Carrey goes, "Nice, shove that down my orphan face." The entire theater was like, "Oh my god, that was perfect."
Oh, it was great, but it was just, I would have loved to have seen like James, because they cut to James Marsden's reaction. He's just like, "What?" But I would have loved James Marsden's original reaction to that.
Oh man, that was so good.
Well, because you don't know what he's going to do. You have no idea. He's just as Jim Carrey was fantastic. And I can't see him as any other live action Eggman. I can't see anyone else.
Yeah, I can't. This is perfect. This is exactly. I was wanting a different take, and I'm so glad we got this take. Now, I want to go to Sonic. I want to go to Sonic. So Ben Schwartz, his voice fits. It fits Sonic. It's real nice. There were some moments where especially towards the end, where the voice direction, which by the way is different than the voice acting, the way the voice is directed will determine the outcome of the voice. This is coming from a voice actor. It felt it didn't fit the scene. Like there was panic and stuff happening, and Sonic was just kind of like, "Oh no, this is happening," but there was no like urgency. It just kind of felt like he delivered the line, and they were like, "Yeah, that was good," and there are some, I'm sure you noticed too, because this relates to the VFX side of it. There were certain scenes where Sonic just kind of like didn't emote. Like he just kind of moved his eyebrow a little bit, and that was it. Like he just kind of talked. Yeah, but the voice was emitting an emotion, but we weren't seeing that.
Well, if you isolate the voice, for my opinion, I think that Sonic's voice, this is definitely, for me personally, as a casual Sonic fan, I call myself a casual Sonic fan, is one of the best voices of Sonic ever, I think, personally.
See, I've heard that a lot, and I will agree, it's very good. I feel so bad for the actual voice actors, because people on Twitter were berating Roger Craig Smith and Mike Pollock, and they were like, why aren't you in the Sonic movie? How do you feel about not being in the Sonic movie? And it was just kind of like making them feel bad. And they came out and said, "Listen, it's a job. We do our job. Sometimes you get calls, sometimes you don't. Yes, it hurts, but we just move on." And Mike Pollock was like, "Yes, thank you." I grew up with the Jason Griffith Sonic voice, which was the anime and Sonic Unleashed, everything pre-Sonic Colors. Right. But then I kind of did a second life with Roger Craig Smith, and I'm used to him as Sonic, and he does a really good Sonic. He actually emotes. It's fun to hear. Ben Schwartz is fun. I like him as movie Sonic, but I think I would prefer him as like just movie Sonic.
I could see that. I could see it, but I would think that I would like to see him do a game. I would like to see how he does with the game, with the Sega direction, because you have to think, this movie was a mishmash, first off, I want to give the award of best comeback film ever, from trailer to release to Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh yeah, it was a complete 180.
Yeah, it was a complete and utter hot mess at the beginning, and it turned out to be something of nothing but a fun adventure at the end. And you also have to think too is that this was a patch job. So yeah, maybe Sonic didn't emote, but remember, they had to base off of the stand-in that they had, and the stand-in that they had was literally something out of Nightmare on Elm Street.
Have
you seen some of those stand-ins?
Yeah, I've seen it. It's very great. Do you remember that leaked image of Sonic's render that was kind of cut out, where he was just kind of standing and smiling, and it was really weird and
he had like the
janky
Nike cleats on?
Yeah, so that was reference shots for the stand-in model that the prop masters had to create. For those of you who don't know, they had to create a stand-in still puppet of original movie Sonic with like the gross smile and the weird nose and everything. Yeah. And they would put that in the scene and use that as reference for Sonic. And then he would just sit there.
Yeah, and then they would animate and do the visual effects over top of it, so that it also gave the actors the eye line that they needed, right?
Exactly, yeah. But it was just like solid blue. The thing is, there was one puppet that was fully detailed, and I was very surprised because the fur and the quills looked exactly like the CG renders, and
Yeah.
I was blown away that they got that much detail into it.
Yeah, but the face still looked awful.
The face still looked awful, yeah. If you just cover the face and you're like, whoa, this looked really good, yeah, you could appreciate it more.
Yeah, so I would suggest that some of the issues that you had with him emoting and stuff could have been definitely based on the fact that it was because of this being a patch job. But imagine how this film would have been if that was designed from day one. From the first.
Oh, yeah.
And also, I also want to say another thing, which I really appreciated. What you see in the trailer and what you see in the movie is completely different. There are scenes...
Yeah, I was so shocked by that.
There are scenes that are made that are only in the trailer, and that's it.
That's really good dedication, honestly.
Oh yeah, like I was just like they crafted and created scenes that never happened in the movie and only in the trailer. Like for example, the most infamous scene was at the remember the first trailer, the very first trailer that we saw.
Yeah, where he's like stretching on the road and everything.
Stretching on the road, walking over to his den and popping a song
Gangster's
in
Paradise.
Gangster's Paradise. None of that happens.
Yeah,
and
nothing.
It's shocking. It is a shock because you're expecting, it's like, oh, this didn't happen. And you're like, okay, this is kind of cool because now there are things you're like, okay, does this happen? Does this not happen? Scenes are altered.
Yeah, they just kind of shifted around. I was waiting for certain scenes to happen and they never happened.
And it was like, okay. And not just that, or the scene would happen, but it was CGI'd completely differently. Like, it's just something that you're like, oh, wow, I didn't expect that at all. And
yeah, I think the quote unquote dance that was in the trailer and the dance that was in the movie, I was kind of like, oh, they changed it.
Yeah.
Oh no.
but there was a whole bunch of stuff that they did specifically for the trailer. And so it made the movie look really fresh because there was a whole bunch of stuff that we saw. And there was a few scenes which I was very happy about that was never even close to spoiled in the trailer, which I hate when movies, they put like a snippet of almost every single scene so you get a feel of what every single scene feels like. And if you were to break down the movie, you can get an idea of what the story is like, and etc.
Yeah,
However,
basically, like, I watched the movie, cool.
yeah, exactly. Marvel is infamous for this.
Marvel's very bad for that.
The spoiler alert for Civil War. I remember in theater, we saw Civil War day one. And I remember in the theater, you've seen Civil War?
Yeah, I've seen Civil War.
Yeah, okay, just gotta make sure. So you remember Giant Man, when Ant-Man popped his thing and he turned to a giant, and the whole audience went, whoa!
Yeah.
Because it was like, wow, that's different. Usually you can only shrink down, and now he just grew. That's really cool. That's interesting. Literally, that was kind of like something that was never seen before. Literally 3 days later, they show that scene in the trailer when they're announcing like all the accolades that the reviewers were giving, and you would see giant Ant-Man in the trailer, and I remember I was sitting there with my buddy and I was just on my phone. He's like, wait, what? I said, what? He goes, giant Ant-Man? I'm like, oh yeah. He's like, I never saw the movie yet. And I was like, oh, that's kind of weird.
It reminds me of what they did with I'm not going to say it because it's a big spoiler, but what they did with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. There was I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
There was a Black Friday trailer that was like, it was literally 30 seconds long, and they spoil the very ending in it. Just like, it just pops up, and I was like, what? What are you talking? What are you doing?
That's a plot twist, you idiots.
Wow. The thing that's supposed to catch me off guard didn't catch me off guard. Thank you.
That's so, and that's what I really liked about this movie, is that it didn't do that. And also too, if you're a casual Sonic fan, you'll enjoy it. If you're not the biggest Sonic fan, you'll enjoy it. But if you're a diehard Sonic fan, there are references.
You're gonna love it. Oh, there's so many references.
I will say one thing. I'm not gonna say what the reference was, but Crazy Carl or Crazy Earl, whatever.
Oh my God, yes!
When that scene happened, there was about 75% of the audience like laughed, and then there was 25 that were just howling like hyenas, and I was
because it made sense. I was like, that is a perfect way to put that thing in the movie.
Yeah, and we're not going to spoil it because it was so good.
It's so good. Just listen for Crazy Carl,
or Earl or whatever. Crazy, just think of a crazy man.
Crazy something. So something I also wanted to mention. Two things I wanted to mention really. They set the rules for Sonic. The ring, he has a bag of rings, and he's given that from a certain someone at the beginning of the movie, and basically they act as little Doctor Strange portals. Now people were saying like, oh, that's weird, they've never done that before, but I recently remembered that did you play Sonic Mania?
I haven't, but my friend explained it to me about the rings.
Yeah, so it's also in the games. I was thinking the beginning animation of Sonic Mania where they're doing their fun thing. There's a whole section where they're going through rings, going into different worlds. But I just remembered, in original Sonic, at the end of a stage, you jump into a big ring and go to another world. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
But for Sonic in the movie, he would take one out of the bag, think about what the other side would be, throw it, and it would be that. And it's a cool concept, but something that the movie doesn't really restrict is Sonic is kind of overpowered, really overpowered.
Oh yeah,
like this isn't a spoiler, but there's like a Quicksilver reference. And there's like multiple Quicksilver references, and I'm sitting in the theater thinking he can just do that. Like, why doesn't he do that more?
But like I said, the movie doesn't take itself too seriously, right? It's like,
it just has fun with it. But there are those moments where you're like, what?
But I think that the movie is, and the one thing too about the movie is that there's not really a plot twist. There's not really you can
no.
You can kind of figure out where the movie's going from, but it doesn't matter. It's a fun time, and
it's a fun movie. That's what I felt like with Venom. Like people were upset that it wasn't a big like heartbreaking story. It was just a fun movie, and I was like, that's all I need. A fun movie.
It's a violent, interesting movie, which I think that people hate.
Venom, not Sonic. Not Sonic.
We're talking about Venom here. Venom was just a violent superhero movie that was just like that a lot of people enjoyed, myself included. And I think that Sonic is going to be getting a sequel very, very, very easily. And I would say officially that as long as other people take notes of what both Detective Pikachu and Sonic is doing. Now, remember, I also want to give props to Detective Pikachu because Sonic only had to work with one character that they had to have mass amounts of CGI.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Detective Pikachu had hundreds, right, with different Pokemon and stuff. So I don't want to discount that from Detective Pikachu. I don't want to do that. But I am going to say that I think Detective Pikachu and Sonic has set a pattern. And The Witcher as well. The Witcher.
Oh, yes. And The Witcher.
And The Witcher. These are three titles that if you want to make a video game movie turn into some sort of a visual franchise, take note of all three of these franchises and then figure out from there what you want to do. If you can get the general story into an hour and a half easily, like generally easily, sure, you can do a movie. If you can't, do a series.
I completely agree.
Like, I think the Warcraft Warcraft movie should have been a series because it was going so fast.
Because of the amount of stuff that was in there.
Well, yeah, I mean, Warcraft is literally like, okay, before you even get to modern day Warcraft, here is literally 6,000 pages of history. And how do you cram 6,000 pages of history to get to a point where people understand what's going on?
You change scene locations every 2 minutes.
Yeah, it was like, here's the thing. As a Warcraft fan, I loved it, but I knew the story. That's why. I knew, these characters are locked away. Yes, I know why. And then other people are like, but why were this? Why were the Draenei locked up? Who were the Draenei? Why are they being locked up? What's the Fel? How did he get the Fel? why is this? Why are their skins green? And there was all these questions that people were having that I would explain it to them, but it would take a 30-minute explanation to explain one simple thing because it was explained 40 books ago. So it's like, because where Warcraft starts off in like the games and stuff is like 4,000 years after, or some ridiculous amount of years after the story that the actual story starts, right?
Yeah.
And to be able to catch up with all these different books and stuff, it's just, you're not going to do it with even a 3-hour movie. You're not going to do it. But if you have 8 hours, you could take an hour to just like, okay, 1 hour to do a breakdown. This is what happened. This happened, that happened, this happened. You can do that fast pace, but keep it constrained into like the origin so that you can explain, this is the Fel. It came from this person. Who's that person? A dark being from beyond the stars. Okay, that's cool. And then later on you can say, hey, that dark being from behind the stars, yeah, he also did this. Oh, that makes him even more mean, so that you can set him up for later on. You can't do that in 3 hours. You can't.
No. Yeah, and by that point people want to leave the theater.
Exactly. So games that I think that are going to be really well made being translated over into like the movies is, I do think that the games that are angled towards children are going to do very well. I think that
especially the merchandise wise.
Especially merchandise wise, you're gonna have Sonic, you're gonna have Pikachu. If you were to somehow create a Spyro film done in like a Pixar style like they did Reignited, I think they could do it.
It wouldn't really go anywhere. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think.
I mean,
so.
they had more success with the Skylanders Netflix series.
Yeah.
Like that was like Sonic Boom levels of TV series hit.
Yeah, so maybe they would have to go with that. I think that like the Mario Brothers movie coming out by Illumination.
Oh, I
you
don't know
remember
about that one. Yeah,
oh,
I know it's gonna do well because it's Mario and Illuminations and haha funny minions, but I don't think it's gonna be good at all. I will say though, I've tweeted this out before. Me and I assume Sega did not expect the opening weekend that Sonic had. Oh my lord! No. So last podcast we were talking about how we were concerned about how Sonic would do overseas, but Sonic, within the 4-day weekend of its opening, already crossed 100 million in the box office.
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, it got 53 million in the US President's Day weekend, opening night and all that stuff, and it got like 46 million overseas.
It was crazy.
How? Oh my lord. So, it looks like Paramount, I don't know how much Sega is, but it looks like Paramount is actually going to be making a profit because of the additional money invested in the animation and the advertising. Sonic got advertised hard. Like, all the cast members were on like the Colbert Report and the Late Late Show and all kinds of YouTube shows, and they had New York Times Square banners everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
It was like hard into marketing, and it worked because, good lord, like that was just 4 days. Imagine the final box office numbers. This has been, like, not just saying this has been the best opening or the best reception for a video game movie ever in existence.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be the go-to when you talk about video game movies. Like, this is what this one did right. This is what all the other ones did wrong. And especially the audience reactions, because right now I'm looking at Rotten Tomatoes, and from 12,000 fans, the audience gave it a 94%. And it's weird because I go to Detective Pikachu, and 16,000 fans gave it a 79, which is like,
that's good.
That's a lot more harsh.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. But it works. It's like, it's good.
Yeah,
it's fine. So
it's just, remember when the movie trailer came out and people were like, "Oh, Detective Pikachu's gonna be so much better. No one's gonna go watch the Sonic movie."
Yeah, but that was before the redesign, and you know what? They listened.
Yeah, they listened and completely flipped all expectation.
Yeah, they did. And that's something that I'm very, very happy to see. And now, one last thing before I go is that I've been hearing, although I will say YouTube recently, like, people have been, like, kind of revving it up a little bit too much, is the fact that a lot of people were angry that for Birds of Prey, that Sonic was doing better than Birds of Prey.
Oh my God, I hated that whole. Yeah. That made no sense to me. I was frustrated that it was happening because it's so stupid.
Yeah, but what's happened is that there are people who are like angry at Sonic and angry at, like, some people were saying, oh, if you're a grown adult going to go see Sonic, you should be bullied, and it was just like, really?
And then I retweeted, if you're bullying people for their interests, you should be bullied.
Yeah. And it's like, haha,
got him.
And that's something that frustrated me, because it was like, are you serious? But then, people are on the other side, they're making all these YouTube videos about how Sonic is making people lose their minds because of Birds of Prey, and it's like both sides need to calm down.
See, the thing is, there is no basis to compare these two movies.
No.
Like, there is no reason
other than
to
the
pit them
release
against
date.
each other. Exactly. I watched Birds of Prey, and it's really good. I would say, as a movie, it's better than Sonic. Of course, there's a better story, there's better writing. Sonic was just more fun. That doesn't mean Birds of Prey was less fun. That doesn't mean it was bad.
Right.
Like, both movies are very good. You can enjoy both movies. It doesn't have to be a competition. But I saw people tweeting like, oh, Birds of Prey just made back their budget today and Sonic made it back in like a day. Who cares? Like, enjoy the movie. It's fine. Both are good.
That's what movies are meant for. They're meant for joy.
Like, let the companies worry about the finances. You just watch the movie. If you're a fan of it, cool. Tell people to go watch it, and they will.
And if you're not, whatever. It's fine.
Of course, Sonic is going to have more of a widespread appeal than Birds of Prey.
Yeah, which is a spin-off of an unknown group of people to the general public.
Yeah, general public. Exactly. This movie is introducing this whole thing to the general public and moviegoers. And It did a good job. It's really good. But come on, stop fighting. There's no reason to fight.
Stop. Speaking of stopping, unfortunately, that's all the time that we have for today on today's episode of Wumpa Time. If you want to hear us on the go or anywhere else, make sure to tune in on we're everywhere. We're on Apple Podcasts. We're on Spotify. If it can hold a podcast, we're basically there. We're in your ears and always everywhere in your hearts. So, Shemp, do you have anything else to add before we head out?
Follow us on Twitter, Canadian Guy A with 2 H's, Shemp Official. Ask us questions if you want with hashtag Wumpa Time. We'll answer them on the podcast.
Yes.
Love me unconditionally, and
we're still waiting
for pigeons.
I was just about to say we're still waiting for the carrier pigeons.
We're still waiting for carrier pigeons. Draw fan art of just carrier pigeons swarming us, or just a carrier pigeon with the logo. Something, I don't care. Put a pigeon there, please. Yeah, that's our branding now, is carrier pigeons.
Carrier pigeons, that's it. Just dump the beautiful logo we have and just have a pigeon.
Yeah, that's all. Just a bird. I don't care.
Bird, that's it. So anyway, thank you all so much for listening in, and we'll see you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.